Welcome to our web exclusive. I'm Mike Montecalvo, along with Eyewitness News Analyst Lt. General Reginald Centracchio. We'll touch upon Christmas and the troops in just a bit. General, obviously this is a sad time. Two New York police officers were gunned down, a third in Florida, and the police commissioner from New York was in Rhode Island at the Lincoln Police Barracks on Tuesday, talking about policing and community policing. This is, some people have said, and they said at this news conference, that it's getting out of control. He didn't take that tact.
No, what he did was to try to bring it back to a somewhat of a stabilization, if you will. Didn't exactly say they should stop protesting, but suggested that perhaps there should be somewhat of a cooling down, especially during the holiday season. But his point that he made was that, you know, they've been attempting to have this community outreach program with the population and the police department, and every so often something goes amiss. That's where they are right now, but he feels rather confident that that'll be repaired over the next several months, and I think he's on the right track. All
right, we'll talk about Rhode Island's community policing in a second. Let's go back to the mayor of New York. He's asking the protest stop until after the funerals of the two slain police officers. Obviously, we saw last night that protesting is continuing. What kind of a public safety threat is that?
Well, you know, first of all, I think he had a little bit to do with the fact that there was so much protesting to begin with. Suggesting that maybe he didn't have total confidence in the New York Police Department, and that may have precipitated some concern. But now he's looking at maybe retracting that concern to some extent and asking people not to protest as much as they have been, but to get through the holiday season, to give families a time to grieve and so on, and they get back into the business of trying to reestablish a confidence level by the people of New York and with its police department.
All right, I mentioned security issues, so the funerals will take place, and we've seen it happen here in Rhode Island, that mutual aid will come in. When James Allen was killed in Providence, you know, Cranston, Warwick, and surrounding cities and towns came in for police and fire, so those officers could go to the funeral. Do you see the same happening in New York?
Yes, I see the same thing, certainly. When you get a large contingent of a large force, you must ensure that you have the basic minimum security in normal times. Then when you have protests on top of that, you need to have better capability to respond to whatever else is going on. Therefore, you need backfill. You need other communities to come in and set a possibility to bring in more police departments from adjacent communities and certainly states. So I think that's certainly a possibility, and I think that's probably in some contingency plan.
Do you see some comparisons to what happened with the Vietnam War and soldiers coming back to what's going on in the country right now?
Well, certainly, Mike, I do. You know, I was there. I wasn't in Vietnam, but I saw what happened when our troops came home. There was a mistrust to some extent, a blaming of the military, and they were taking the consequences of the bad feelings that were in our population at the time, in our society. So they were blaming the military. And similarly, I see now with the things that are going on in our society as far as how they interpret the police doing their jobs, and to some extent, some police officers not doing what they're trained to do, and vice versa. So I think we're seeing some of the basic things that the police department is taking the brunt and blame for some of these things that are going on. Certainly a comparison.
Community policing came up. I know I talked to Colonel Catlow from the state police. He says this has been going on in Rhode Island for a while.
He did. I'll tell you, I'm mighty proud of Rhode Island State Police, and Colonel Catlow was telling me that this is certainly nothing new. They haven't been doing this only recently. In the past 3 years, they've had the Citizens Academy, and he thinks, and I share with that, is that it's caused an awful lot of ability to tell a story to the general population who were there to protect. And I think that's going a long way, and you can see that continuing. So this is nothing new. It's been very effective, and it'll continue.
All right, before we run out of time, let's talk about Operation Holiday Cheer. That's something you and then Lieutenant Governor Charlie Fogarty started back in 2003.
Right, back in 2003. It was initially started as a support function for the Guard, called Support the Troops. And that was in the spring of 2003. Then we were deploying more troops, as you perhaps remember. And in December of 2003, October, November, we decided to change that into Operation Holiday Cheer. And that's continued on all these years, and it's an annual thing, and it's grown. And thank especially Lieutenant Governor Charlie Fogarty and certainly all the military that's participated in it through the years.
And I know they enjoy getting those presents too.
They do.
All right, General Centracchio, Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
And to you too, Mike.
And thanks for watching.